from the world-famous Parkway Diner in Stamford, Connecticut on this, the 17th of June, Monday, the year of our Lord, 2024. And in the good company of our friends, the Greenwich Stamford Tea Party Patriots, who I've been mentioning lately. So the first calls to action, go to our website, yankeetea.news, like, subscribe, donate, buy our stuff. I hope to really buck up that store soon. And then the second thing is the Sally Fink site, the Continental Tribune, THECTLTRIBUNE.com. Like, subscribe, donate, and tell the universe. And I just want to point out that Sally has been doing quite a bit of work on Hamden High School, which is one sorry-ass high school in Connecticut that needs a lot of public attention if there's ever to be a chance that it will be fixed, given its current condition. Meantime, a couple of shout-outs. The first is to the Telegram channels that we've been getting out to, so that's Greenwich Patriots, Connecticut Sentinel, Organized Connecticut, Free Connecticut, Connecticut Patriots, the Breakfast Club, Connecticut OTBA, Connecticut Sons of Liberty, and the Great Takedown. So I'd love to find more Connecticut channels if they're out there, but this is the ones that we're aware of. And also a shout out, thank you to Mike and Mita Spilo for having your Flag Day celebration. So I'm sure that was appreciated by many people. Okay, and also don't forget, donate to Bob McGuffey's campaign. There it is, Bob Mac for Congress. Donate, donate, donate. All right, and tonight's theme is existential threats in play. By way of introduction, I'm going to start by blaming this federal government for engaging in policies that are beyond reckless. They're beyond reckless. They're suicidal. They are destructive. I can't even believe I'm going to talk about what I'm about to talk about. But first, let's talk about Senator Bang. Oh yes, Senator Bang. Let me remind you, that would be better known as Senator Chris Murphy. The reason he has earned the name Senator Bang is because once he had commented, oh yeah, that's right. That noise that guns make when they go bang, that's a safety feature, right? Wow, wow. With people like him trying to take away our Second Amendment rights, we really shouldn't have to worry, but we do. Now, that said, this particular article is part of this increased attack by Democrats on the Supreme Court. What they're doing is unprecedented, and it is unacceptable, and it must stop. So whether it's me telling you, Senator Bang, or somebody else, it must stop. The Democrats, you're going to have to realize at some point that some of these things you're doing are counterproductive. And to have the president standing up there attacking Samuel Alito and others, counterproductive. To have you guys going after each of the justices, not smart. But you know what? I'm going to throw one in because you people are such incredible hypocrites. Nobody, none of you, will certainly say anything about the failure of Justice Sotomayor to recuse herself from a case involving a publisher who had given her $3 million. She felt it was okay to decide in that case. This is appalling. Anyway, next. So this next one, if you get a chance to look at it, is an excellent example of propaganda. All right, I always look for textbook cases of propaganda, and this is one. So from the website Only in Bridgeport, with an article written by one Lenny Grimaldi, who has the nerve to call this article analysis, goes on to try and downplay the arrest of Wanda and the 3 other miscreants involving the election fraud case. The key phrase here is where he states, this case was going nowhere, but state investigators needed to show, in the face of all the 2023 ballot howling, something must be done. We must show the flag. Well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I ask you to go see it. And by the way, the comments that were made to the writer, none of them were complimentary. None of them were in agreement. So the next thing, and this is a little bit more troubling, as I note, the Connecticut Bar Association rips a page from the communist Chinese when it comes to suppressing opinions. So Jonathan Turley does a really good piece here. Again, we have the link. And it's all about how the people who run the Connecticut Bar Association, that would be President-elect James Sheeran and Vice President Emily Gianquinto, telling members of the bar to keep their mouths shut. Do not criticize Judge Marchand or any aspect of that trial, that sham trial, that politicized trial that had found Trump guilty. Don't do it. They refer to these criticisms as dangerous rhetoric, really. Now, it's interesting because they seem to back off a little bit and not really threaten their members, but given the chance, I'm sure they will. But this just shows how bad the Connecticut Bar Association is. If they have to decide to come out and make comments like these and not let the chips fall where they may in a public discussion of a public trial that everybody in the nation and the world knows about, I think they're out of touch with reality. Okay, on a related note, so we found this piece. I think it was in the Washington Times. Alabama Secretary of State says he's got proof that the Biden administration is signing up illegal aliens to vote. Okay, the normal course of events is you spend 5 years in the country, you learn how to become an American citizen, you take a test, you become naturalized, now you can vote. But no, not these guys. They don't care a whit about any of that, okay? They will cheat and lie and steal in any way they have to in order to win the election. So that includes trying to sign up millions of illegals to vote. So there have been several, so I'm still piecing together, but there have been several lines of attack that they seem to have taken. The first, if you've been following this, will note that there was an executive order directed to the agencies, federal agencies, to all take a role in voter registration. Well, this is unprecedented and it's not part of their mission. So he's definitely stepping over the line as far as that's concerned. Now, the second part of this, and this is the one that seems to have the Secretary of State in Alabama upset, is now it's incumbent upon the individuals in these agencies to give voter registration information to each and every person who comes in contact with them. And that would be the illegal aliens. And where this seems to be really bad is what they're doing in Delaware. So that's a whole other matter. So we listen to this, now you're going to have to ask the question, well, what do we do? Well, I'm going to state the obvious. Paper ballots and hand counting of ballots. They do it in France, they do it in Canada, no problem. So why can't we do it here? Okay, existential threat 1. Okay, now I want to preface this by pointing out that those who have followed this and know who the Atlantic Council is and know who Atlanticists are, understand that it's this group in Washington, D.C. that has been responsible for constantly encroaching on the Russian, what's the term, western frontier, western border area. Okay, so a lot of former Iron Curtain countries are now members of NATO. Don't have too much of a problem with that. Russia didn't like it, of course, but it's when we get to Ukraine that the problems really begin, okay? But it becomes obvious that the Atlanticists in our government foreign policy apparatus have no problem playing games of chicken with Russia and China for that matter. So, on the one hand, we could look upon this as a surprise piece of propaganda dished out by Prime Minister Xi, but on the other hand, he may be revealing something that is of concern. And given my prefatory comments with respect to Ukraine, I think you can tell I'm leaning towards the latter. So Mr. Xi has suggested that America is trying to push China into a war with Taiwan. Oh wait, did I say that right? Well, I'm going to say it again. That America is, okay, looks like, Erica makes a good point, looks like they're trying to push China into a war with Taiwan. Well, how does that come about? Okay, I mean, building up the arms capability, military capabilities for Taiwan might not be a part of it, but to find ways to make it more incumbent upon China to look at attacking Taiwan seems curious. Now, I add that I'm going to mention a name, Kyle Bass, who's done incredible work, and he will tell you flat out that the Red Chinese continue to build up their forces and get their act together for an actual invasion of Taiwan. Now, depending upon who you're talking to, they believe that the arc of development for the Chinese military lands in Taiwan at the earliest of August this year, or sometime next year, or several years after that. So those are three different scenarios that people have. I will tell you, based upon what I've seen, I am in the camp that says it's now or never for China. If they're going to invade Taiwan, it's going to happen in August. So with that being said, for him to come out and make a statement like this about Biden and the American government, it's surprising, okay? So, okay, maybe it's propaganda, but we'll see if he keeps bitching and moaning in that manner. Okay, moving on here. Now this one really does concern me. I don't know why. Look, I've only been on a submarine a couple of times. I was in the Navy, but I was not a part of the submarine corps. But what goes on with our submarines actually does bug me a lot. And so it all started when I found this article. House Appropriations approves $833 billion defense bill rebuking the Ukraine aid amendment. But the buried lead is down here. Turns out that Groton Electric Boat is supposed to be building 2 Virginia-class submarines. And there's been a lot of back and forth about making it just 1. So according to the latest rendition with respect to the budget battle, they've cut it back to 1. And let's see if I can find the person here is, yes, Representative Ken Calvert, a California Republican, who has said the reason the bill does not fund a second submarine is that the contractors can't build it. That's a hell of a statement. They've already built a bunch of submarines. What do you mean they can't build it? He said there are significant problems with the submarine industrial base that cannot be resolved with symbolic money. Okay, I think he has a point, actually. So then I found this other article, and this one is the one that I want to feature tonight. I want everybody to go find this article, go read it. This is an incredible, well thought out piece by Jim Hendricks. I think he was a former naval officer. And it's in American Affairs, and it says, "Sunk at the Pier, Crisis in the American Submarine Industrial Base." So he does a quick review of how the American, what should we say, submarine industrial base was definitely leading the world, okay? And you had Russia and China in constant catch-up mode. Now, I'll just mention as an aside, the Germans are pretty good at making submarines, and I would not laugh at the submarines that the Swedes can make either, just saying. So in this case, though, the key phrase here, the one I want to use as the takeaway, is that as we look at the history of submarine manufacturing in America, there has been, if I can find it, darn it, basically he's saying for the last, let's just say the last 20 years, there's been a series of bad assumptions and bad decisions, okay? And it's a case where one bad decision and assumption leads to another and another until we find ourselves in trouble in ways that we cannot deal with yet. So, you know, he's putting out the alarm. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to deal with this. So why don't you folks get yourself informed on this? We all should speak up about it, because the fact of the matter is the one branch of the military that has the best chance of holding the line in any kind of military conflict around the world, it's our submarine force. And if they're not in good shape, we're sunk. Meantime, speaking of sunk, you know, the way people, so here, I'm going to say it, Jessica Harkey, from the Connecticut Mirror. Okay, again, picking up on the E. Casey Foundation, talking about what's going on with public education in Connecticut. And there's this continued acknowledgement that standard test scores are down. There's just a general sense that schools are not doing well. And so they keep coming up with these programs and these rationalizations to explain what's going on. And so here, this is a backhanded admission that we're losing it. We're falling behind. It doesn't matter how good we are. You know, Connecticut historically plays high compared to the other states. But nope, there's a problem and we are not solving it. We are not solving it. So we better wake up and pay closer attention to it, which gets into some other issues about public education I'll save for later. Meantime, I thought this was funny. This is what we'll call good news, okay? Now, bit by bit, we have seen prominent, wealthy people say, I'm getting behind Donald Trump. Well, this one is a little bit more important than the others. Where did her name go? Let's see here. Allison Kuhn. Okay, I guess that sounds like a Vietnamese name. But anyway, I think she's in her mid-40s, and she was not only an avid liberal and rainmaker, she loved Democrat memorabilia so much that she paid $100,000 for John F. Kennedy's rocking chair. So that should give you an idea where she was at. And she was a big help for raising money for Obama. But guess what? She's done. She's had it. She's over. She wants nothing to do with the Democrats. She's all in for Donald now, even though she said that politically she's an independent. So this is just part of a larger trend here where so much in this country is moving in the direction of MAGA, conservatives, Donald Trump. It ain't over, okay, but at least I would call that a piece of good news. The other piece of good news, I'll just mention this in passing, there was an article, I think this is Life News, and they said that in South Carolina, the abortions have dropped 80% because of the heartbeat law. And so, you know, I'm calling that good news. The other interesting thing, I mean, this almost takes on a comical aspect to it. But there's in the news, his name is Jasper Makoju, if I'm saying it right, who's a farmer in Kenya, who has been online, on the internet, making a big stink about how all this climate change stuff is a hoax. Now, once again, the article here is another example of propaganda hard at work, okay? So I want you to check that out. It's instructive, it's educational. And as if we didn't have enough doubts already, okay? This story is about an FBI agent who just could not help himself, all right? So on his Facebook page, he was trashing Donald Trump left and right, just couldn't let it go. So his superiors actually had to come to him and say, you're going to have to erase all that stuff. You can't have it. Okay, but ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of thing that really highlights the fact that the FBI is in such bad shape. It has become so politicized, so rotted within, that we're going to have to basically tear it down and start all over again. Check it out. Now all right, so let me read the title. One popular X account believes this damning new clip is a sure sign Joe will be replaced at the convention. So this is the one where he's at the G7 meeting and he's wandering around in the field. The guys with the parachutes had come down. Okay, well, he's done worse than that, so I don't understand why that's so important. But this triggered another thought that I want to share with you. For the people who were sitting there saying to themselves, Joe's got to go, they have to answer the question, who's going to take his place? So let's just start with the three obvious ones. Kamala, can't be serious about that. Gavin Newsom, remember what Ron DeSantis did to him. So that's not a possibility. Who's left? Maybe Robert F. Kennedy? Nope, that ain't going to happen either. So there you go. So here's the problem. As they're going through whoever it is, they're going to, whatever rabbit they're going to pull out of the hat, Michael Obama, whoever. What if Here you go, get ready for this. What if whoever they choose, when put in place and has replaced Joe Biden, actually gets worse poll ratings, worse than Joe Biden? Do you think that's impossible? I don't. So are they considering that possibility? I bet you they are. And that's just one more reason why they are frozen in deep fear. Now, the last piece is part of our continuing coverage of January 6th is another piece from Julie Kelly. I think of this was a preliminary, okay? It's the beginning of, because now evidence comes forth that planning the federal scam for January 6th may actually be dated back to July of 2020. Think about that. July of 2020. We have notes here in this article of people who are talking about and trying to anticipate events at that time. And then it fast forwards to other notes from January 5th to tie into that. So, yep, this scandal only grows. That's all I got to say. So until then, thank you very much and see you next week, folks.